Last week, Premier Doug Ford of Ontario's Immigration Minister, Lisa MacLeod, commented on statistics that show that about 40% of Toronto's homeless shelters were being filled right now by refugees and asylum claimants. Now, Toronto's homeless shelter capacity has been under a lot of attention ever since Justin Trudeau tweeted #Welcome to Canada, and Canada has seen tens of thousands of people illegally enter the country from safe spaces like upstate New York and then subsequently claim asylum in Canada. And then, of course, after that point in time, the Liberal government has been transporting people to Toronto and either putting them up in hotels or, of course, there has been a strain on the homeless shelter system. Now, this problem is something that I've been raising in the House of Commons for months. In fact, you watched me force an emergency parliamentary meeting this summer during the parliamentary recess to try and get some answers on how much this was costing and what the long-term plan was from the Trudeau government. Now, Justin Trudeau's immigration minister gave an interview on CBC this week where he was asked to respond to Immigration Minister Lisa MacLeod's comments. Watch what he said.
But on the issue of refugees, I mean, we have Lisa MacLeod saying that 40% of Toronto shelter occupants are refugees. They're saying there's a crisis there. We have numbers that show in 2017, 25% of those occupants were refugees. In 2016, it was just 11%.
Lisa MacLeod is engaged in fear-mongering and using this issue to demonize people. The fact of the matter is the Toronto...
What evidence do you have for that?
Well, I'll tell you. The Toronto the Toronto shelter system does not ask questions on the status of those who are seeking shelter in their system.
So her department is lying when they say that there are 46%.
So how would Lisa MacLeod know who's accessing the system if the temporary housing shelter system in Toronto does not collect stats based on status? Number one.
Wasn't John Tory also saying that, though, as well? Is he lying, too?
No, I'm saying that the figures that are being thrown around are not based on facts. They're based on speculation. There are not the status of people seeking the access to the shelter system in Toronto is unknown.
So there you have the typical response of Justin Trudeau and all of his ministers with regard to the illegal border crossing crisis. So rather than look at the statistics that have been put forward and tell Canadians how they plan to deal with this problem, what did he do? First of all, he essentially called Lisa MacLeod a fearmonger. He said that she is fearmongering and demonizing people. And did you notice that when the CBC host pushed him on this, he couldn't really answer that? And why? Because that's not what they're doing. All of the Ontario and Quebec governments, for that matter, Manitoba government as well, all of these provinces that have been impacted by the illegal border crossing crisis are doing is saying, look, federal government, Justin Trudeau, you've made a huge change to Canada's immigration policy. You are now prioritizing a new stream of entry into the country, that is Roxham Road. How are you going to deal with the strain on our social programs? You need to tell us. But again, instead of trying to deal with this problem, what they are doing is calling names. Now, you'll remember that Ahmed Hussein in Winnipeg earlier this year, and you've seen a video where I was there, he suggested that Lisa MacLeod was somehow un-Canadian because he dared question her on this issue. Now, here's the interesting thing. I actually thought, look, let's try and clear the air here because we want to have good federal-provincial relationships. I gave Hussein an opportunity to apologize to Lisa MacLeod on Friday in the House of Commons. Watch what he did when I asked him to apologize. Possibly one of the worst interviews ever given. Yesterday, the Minister of Immigration once again angrily called his Ontario provincial counterpart several inappropriate names after she requested federal support to pay for the social welfare costs of the Prime Minister's #Welcome to Canada illegal border crossers. When pressed on what evidence he had to support the name he called her, he got even more angry and doubled down. Will the minister apologize for his name-calling and shameful disregard for all Ontario taxpayers?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship.
Speaker, our government has been going around the country to talk to Canadians about how much immigration matters to them in their local communities. We know that Canadians have been asking for immigration to be an important tool to address labour market shortages as well as bring much-needed skills. I know that after 3 years in opposition, my honourable colleague has finally discovered the importance of talking to Canadians about immigration. And with all the blocking of people that she's done on Twitter, I hope this will be the last way that she can communicate with Canadians.
Honourable member for Calgary knows that.
I will take that as a no, but let's try again. And you know what? I'm not sure if the minister watched that interview, but he really should, because it was really a hot mess. But this isn't about his lack of media training. This is about positive federal-provincial relationships to come up with good public policy solutions. Will the minister humble himself and apologize to one of the strongest women I know, Lisa MacLeod, for his shameful, inappropriate name-calling and outbursts?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration,
It's important to
Refugee and
note that
Citizenship.
immigration continues to be a tool for Canadians to address labour market shortages. We rely on immigration to make sure that we continue to be a leader in the G7 in terms of making sure that investment follows talent. We've attracted a huge number of skilled labor through the global skills strategy and the changes we made to the express entry system. The announcements that we made yesterday with our new multi-year plan will ensure that Canada continues to prosper through immigration, a lesson that the party opposite wish to learn.
So the minister had an opportunity to apologize and say, here's a plan for how we're going to fix the situation. And once again, what did he choose to do? He chose to vilify, well, he attempted to anyways, basically bully me, right? Like, how dare you ask questions sort of tone. You see that anger and that condescension in his voice, and that's not what Canadians need. We need a government that is going to bring Canada's immigration system back to order, fairness, and a focus on lawful immigration. And, you know, what you saw there was just not that. Now, here's the interesting thing. Later over the weekend, CBC of all outlets, fact-checked the immigration minister on his claim that Lisa MacLeod was fabricating this 40% figure that I mentioned before. And look at this. CBC actually found that and confirmed that Lisa MacLeod was actually right.
Something that happened on this program yesterday. Immigration Minister Ahmed Hussein was on the show to discuss immigration and refugees. I asked him about a release from the Ontario government, specifically from Social Services Minister Lisa MacLeod. It says approximately 40% of Toronto's shelters are occupied by refugees. Here's how Minister Hussein responded yesterday.
Lisa MacLeod is engaged in fear-mongering and using this issue to demonize people. I'm saying that the figures that are being thrown around are not based on facts. They're based on speculation. There are not the status of people seeking access to the shelter system in Toronto is unknown. Therefore, to put a number on that is simply not factual.
CBC followed up with the City of Toronto to help get to the bottom of this, and they sent us these numbers. According to Toronto, there are more than 2,500 refugee claimants in the city's shelters. That's 37.3% of the total.
So after I saw that CBC had fact-checked the minister, I gave him yet another opportunity to say, look, I didn't get the facts straight. I'm sorry, Lisa MacLeod. Let's get things back together. Let's come together with a plan. Let's fix the loophole in the Safe Third Country Agreement. Let's bring Canada's immigration system back to order. He could have done that. Watch what I shouldn't laugh because this is actually just, it's very serious and it's very frustrating. Watch what happened when I asked in the House of Commons on Monday for the minister to apologize and clarify himself. Last week on CBC, the Minister of Immigration said that his Ontario counterpart's claims that 40% of Toronto's homeless shelter occupants were refugees and asylum seekers were, quote, not based on facts. Well, the CBC fact-checked the minister and found that Minister MacLeod's claims are, in fact, valid.
Wow.
Was the minister intentionally misleading Canadians, or does he not know the basic facts of his file? In either scenario, why should Canadians trust him to fix his illegal border crossing mess?
Honourable Minister of Immigration.
Speaker, I was on television to talk about our immigration levels that Canadians have been asking us to increase in order to meet our employee shortages, as well as skills shortages around the country. And we've responded with an ambitious and a well-measured immigration plan. We've done that after listening to Canadians. We've held hundreds of town halls across the country, something that the party opposite has not done. In fact, the member opposite has just come around to the understanding that it's important to talk to Canadians about immigration for 3 years. After blocking people on Twitter, that's the only way Canadians can actually get a hold of her.
The honourable member order for Calgary Nose Hill.
It's a lot of angry, Mr. Speaker, real angry. The reality, Mr. Speaker, is that Canadian taxpayers are on the hook for hundreds of millions of dollars for the Prime Minister's #Welcome to Canada illegal border crossing program.
That's right.
Instead of trying to fix the problem, the Prime Minister is allowing his cabinet to attempt to bully anyone who questions whether we should pay for those thousands of people who are illegally entering Canada. Will the minister apologize for his bullying attempt to Minister MacLeod?
Honourable Minister of Border Security.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the member opposite that we have been working very carefully with the province of Ontario, the province of Quebec, the city of Toronto. I have met and had a number of conversations with the minister and mayors responsible. We are working hard to ensure that Canadian law is upheld and that we uphold our responsibilities to anyone who seeks the protection of the country and to treat them in an appropriate way according to our laws. Mr. Speaker, we are achieving significant success in reducing the number of people that have presented themselves.
Order.
So once again, no answers, no plan, and I think that they actually pulled the immigration minister and didn't let him talk there for a while because it's like just the angry and the arrogance just shows. I give you these updates because I want you to know that even though Justin Trudeau isn't taking this issue seriously, that we are, Canada's Conservatives are, we are not letting this as an issue just slide into the background because, I mean, look, especially if you're a new Canadian and you're watching this, you've come to Canada through lawful immigration paths, you're working hard to make Canada a better place. It must be so frustrating for you to watch what's happening at Roxham Road. I mean, I hear that from new Canadians all the time. Michelle, when is this going to end? When is this going to stop? And by providing you these updates on what's happening in the House, I want you to know that Canada's Conservatives are putting out policy all the time on ways that the government could stop what's happening at Roxham Road instead of perpetuating it and making it worse by spending hundreds of millions of dollars to facilitate this system rather than try to prevent it and focus on lawful, planned, fair immigration that matches the needs of the Canadian economy directly to our immigration streams. That's why I bring you these updates. And I also want you to know that no matter how angry Justin Trudeau gets or how arrogant his immigration minister gets, how much he tries to bully us, and you've seen him try to do that to me over and over and over again, be it on budget numbers or female genital mutilation in Canada's citizenship guide. This guy, he attempts so much just to do anything than provide some sort of a plan on immigration. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he tries to do. He is not going to succeed in that. Together, I know that Canada, we can build a plan that will bring Justin Trudeau's broken immigration system back to that state where it thrived under the Stephen Harper government, which was fair, orderly, and lawful immigration. And that's what I'm standing for. That's what Canada's Conservatives are standing for. And that's what we're doing here in Ottawa. So I'm going to keep putting the pressure on him. I know many of you have, very respectfully asked for Justin Trudeau to bring Canada's immigration system back to order. That is what I am going to be doing for you in my role as Shadow Minister for Citizenship and Immigration. There is a better way, and we're going to keep fighting for it here in Ottawa. Working hard for you. Have a great day.